Hey guys, welcome back for another video. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about working on yourself, a little bit of reflection on my journey and why, as I kind of tell a little bit of this story, you will see that there was a change along the way. Some of them were dramatic changes and some of them were very, very small in the beginning. And as it kind of progressed over a period of time, how making the decision to work on myself has resulted in so many opportunities that have come. So if I go back a little bit as far as 2012, I had a road traffic accident. Somebody crashed into the side of my van. It injured my discs, the three lowest discs in my back. It had an ongoing effect over the period of 2012 to 2013. Where I ended up in hospital a couple of times. At one point I was in hospital for a month. I ended up really, really sick, and it was a combination of the medication that I was on as well as there must have been some sort of high resilience, or it took a lot of powerful drugs really to take effect to take away pain for me. Anyway, over the period of that year, my business really suffered. I lost an awful lot of work. If you imagine being self-employed, being in hospital for a month, and I had a lot of window cleaning customers and I had grass cutting customers, where these are regular jobs that I do. And if you're not around for once, maybe twice, then a customer will quite quickly replace you with somebody who they can depend on. Now the circumstances weren't in my control that I was dependable. While I was in hospital for 1 month at one point, I think it took maybe the doctor said it should have taken about 8 weeks before I'd be back to work, but I kind of pushed it within 4. And I remember even doing one grass cutting job, I was so sick that it should only have taken me about an hour to do the job, and it took me 3 hours. Literally every 3 steps that I took, I was getting sick. Now it wasn't, don't want to be graphic with it, but it wasn't, it was more fluid because I was keeping myself hydrated. It was more the fluid. I couldn't even keep down just water, and so I was constantly getting sick. And that was a real battle, kind of struggling through the work. Anyway, 2012 was a very, very difficult year. And because of that strain that was put on me, it put strain on my wife. I remember even at the point where when I ended up in hospital for a month, my daughter Sophia was born, and she was only about 2 weeks old, and I ended up in hospital for a month. So you can imagine being the only provider, the only single income family, and I'm the one who's the breadwinner. And I'm in hospital. We struggled financially. I didn't have savings put away to be able to deal with financial stress or emergencies. So we really struggled back then. And that kind of really played into a lot of things where, because of hitting this kind of slump physically and emotionally and mentally, it kind of got to a point where I felt I needed to make a change. So 2013, I kind of felt that there was something. I wasn't happy with the way I saw things. I wasn't happy with the way things are. And we can all find ourselves in that kind of position where we're not happy where we are. But I was miserable. And so in 2013 was kind of like where I started to search for some inspiration, for some encouragement, for ideas of how to change about my circumstances. And YouTube at that time became something more to me than just, prior to that, YouTube for me was just kind of like somewhere people go to watch funny videos and vines and all this kind of stupid silly stuff about kittens and animals and whatever. I didn't find that there was much value in it. But about 2013 I came across a couple of specific channels, some in the UK, some in the US, where there was guys just like me had decided that they had a passion for their industry, particularly within the window cleaning and the lawn care industries. And it gave me something that I was able to relate to, which I didn't have at any point in the past. I never had a business mentor. I never had someone teach me how to do business, how to deal with the different aspects of life in general. And so to find something that I was able to relate to was a big deal for me. And I kind of also felt like, like I love this idea of being able to make videos, that someone like me can make a video and put it up on a platform like YouTube. Now, I didn't, at the time, my thinking was, well, if I get a camera and if I get, when I can get these things, then I'll start a YouTube channel. Kind of giving myself all the excuses and reasons not to start a channel there and then, but waiting until, I was able to afford this fancy equipment. Then I would get around to it, which was quite silly on reflection. But by 2014, that was where the point came where I decided I'm going to make the leap. I'm going to make a channel. I've been watching guys for about a year. It was very interesting. I felt motivated that I could do something like this. But one thing that I couldn't find was somebody who was able to talk about some of the challenges that I faced. It's very easy on social media to talk about all the positives and portray this image that everything is coming together and looks like you're a massive success, but very easily leaving out those minor details of the struggles, which are massive when you're dealing with them in the moment along the way. So I kind of decided I'd make my first video, and was talking about some of the difficulties. Now, from 2013 through to 2016, I had this desire, this craving to become better in my mindset, to become a better person. And so by the time, for 2013 through to 2016, while I had that desire, there was still a lot of things about my thinking that just kept on coming around in a circle. So I was focusing on things negatively. I was focusing on the things that were going wrong. I was focusing on the things that I didn't have, that I couldn't get, that I wish I had. And so the more I thought about all these things, the more it just kept coming around. And whenever something would come up that would remind me of these things that I didn't have, whether it was a good relationship with my wife or people, whether it was gaining bigger contracts, if I didn't get them, why didn't I get them? And I was focusing on the negatives. Not in a constructive way, always in a destructive way. And then come 2016, I had a mental breakdown. This was a big moment in my life where things have completely changed. But throughout the period of 2013 through to 2016, I had managed to pick up a little bits along the way with my business that I was able to maximize my effort, but it didn't require financial investment. I didn't want to go into any more debt, and I didn't have two pennies to rub together to invest back in the business, which meant I had the most basic of equipment. I was very fortunate, looking back on it. I mean, the equipment that I had and the van that I had, I was very fortunate to have things that other people did not. But at the time, with just that was it. I didn't have much more. And I found it really hard, but slowly but surely, by the time 2016 came, I managed to take myself from being on the breadline to being able to grow the business by canvassing and really pushing myself out there and doing the things that I was able to do. But at the same time, while this was going good with the business, finally after about 3-4 years, my mindset was imploding. So even though it was good, physically, financially, mentally, was just destroying itself. And then I had the breakdown. And so the change that came about from this was, I remember listening to talks, reading books, and the most, poignant, the most important point that I picked up on was a quote by Einstein, where he said that you can't solve a problem with the same mindset that you created the problem with. And the reason for that is because if you think about a certain way and you get a certain result as a consequence of that thinking, you're not going to change the result if you keep on doing the same thing over. You might change a few of the variations of that pattern, but at the core, your thinking is still the same. So the result is going to be a variation of the same result. And so I found that when I was able to change my mindset, the results changed. And what I found an awful lot was that I had struggled with self-esteem or self-confidence, or an image of myself was always based on what other people thought of me. And their expectations that they put onto me, if I didn't live up to it, it felt like my failure. And my failure felt like a criticism of myself. It led me to believing that because I wasn't living up to everyone else's expectations of what society or what my friends or what my faith or whatever kind of made me feel like, well, I'm just not getting this, so I must be a terrible person. And when you feel that way, it really, really destroys you. So I changed my mindset, and I changed it from being instead of worrying about what everyone else thought of me or what they thought I should be doing, I set a new bar for myself, one that I was able to achieve. Now, it might seem like I was setting a low bar, but I had this mindset that I would grow, that as I was able to achieve certain things, I would continue to set a new bar and a new bar and a new bar, and I would progress this way, as opposed to somebody else setting the bar up here and never getting it, and then feeling like crap. By setting the bar lower, it was achievable steps, and I was able to take myself out of that mindset, that negative mindset, that critical mindset. And from then, change really came about. I was able to focus on networking. I was able to seek out opportunities. Connecting with people was something that is easy. It's easy for me to talk with people. And so I kind of focused on networking more, and by 2016 to 2017, because the business was doing good, meant that I had money there saved up to be able to invest back in the business. And I started with a rebrand. I bought a new van. I bought new equipment. And I remember getting the first WeBang machines and the Oleomac machines. These were things where I wanted to focus more on the gardening, but my business model in my mind was still not right. At the time I thought it was, but it took me until about November 2018 to really kind of focus on where I needed to with the business. But off the back of that change of mindset, I was able to appreciate so much more. So 2017 was a very, very good year. I was doing a lot of listening to talks. I was reading books. I found it very, very impactful. It kind of spurred me on. And it also gave me kind of a drive to do more with my YouTube channel. It gave me a drive to, because I remember a period in 2017, I think it was maybe from about March or April, for about 3 months I did a live video every day on the channel. And that's kind of like quite a big commitment. Even when I went away on holiday with my family, I still took time out of my day to go for a 10-15 minute live video. I remember one was away off camping. We were in Carnfunnock, just in Larne, outside Larne in Northern Ireland. And I remember my family and my kids were kind of in the distance playing while I was doing a live video talking about something. And I really enjoyed that. I felt like I was just kind of enjoying the ride, enjoying the journey, doing what I wanted to do. I picked up the new equipment, so I had a new passion for talking about the products that I was using. I mean, like, if you go from where I was to where I was with a lawn care setup I did in 2015 to where I did one in 2017, like it's just night and day. And I was quite excited about that, to share it with people, because I had focused on so much stuff about the journey to that point. It was another stage in the journey, and it kind of created a new drive with that, with social media. More people had reached out to me by then, were emailing me. I had seen young guys in many different countries, kind of email me and saying, I watched your video, it's helped me in some way. Thank you very much. And that was like where levels of appreciation from other people. So if you imagine where I had an environment of people in the past who were kind of saying that they had these expectations of me that were so high, or just kind of what they wanted me to be, and I didn't live up to that. And now I'm in the position where people are emailing me and saying, because of who I am, just being me was more than enough, that they appreciated that, because it allowed them to connect with me and gain some sort of benefit from my videos. And you know from watching any of these videos, these aren't how-to. This is not a how-to channel. The videos I make are not how-to videos. It's more just like, if I talk about the things that affect me, or if I talk about the things that have benefited me, people are able to relate with that. And that's a very, very different, that's a very, very powerful thing for someone who struggled with that self-image for so long. And now I kind of start to feel a little bit more appreciated. I'm starting to see better results with the work that I'm doing. I'm starting to see a better result in my relationship with my wife. My expectations of her were changed. Instead of kind of setting the bar so high and having this preconceived idea of what marriage should be like, it kind of rewrote the entire experience and our relationship, and it was very positive, and our kids are getting the benefit of it, and we're getting the benefit of it, and it's been a progressive path, and it's been one that's kind of come with, I mean, no journey's perfect, but I mean, at the same time, it's just so nice. It's fantastic to see the results that come from that, and all from the change in mindset. And the mindset that I had in the past was a consequence of the environment which molds it, or which molds you. And so everything else is pushing on you and telling you that you are supposed to be this way. And I never fit in that category. I never fit that mold. And so it was imperfect, it was flawed. And of course, with a mold, if you take it apart after something's gone wrong, it's what's the word, damaged. It's got imperfections. And usually in a production line, if something has flaws and imperfections, it gets discarded, it gets devalued. And that's effectively what happened with me. So whenever I changed the mold and I created my own new mold and my own new mental thinking, which only came about because I was conscientious of the need to be aware of how I thought, or to be aware of what I needed to be thinking about, to not fall back into old ways, which is a constant battle. I mean, it's not something that you just get rid of. If you grew up a certain way for so many years, that is always going to be a part of you. But in order to kind of keep achieving or keep progressing, it will take conscientious effort going forward. Now in 2018, I slipped up an awful lot. A lot of the work that I was doing for me got sidetracked. As a business owner, I never had a mentor. I still don't. I would actually like to get a business mentor. It's something that it's by the end of this year I will have one. It is something that is absolutely needed for me to go ahead with some of the things that I want to do in the future. But because I didn't have that for so long, that the self-reflection, the listening to talks, the reading of books was all something that I was doing myself. And with connecting with people on social media, as a business owner, I know of the difficulties that I faced, not having that support there for years, that I kind of have this vision of something that I want to create for people like me. It's for me, but it's for other guys just like me. A resource for business, a resource for mental health, a resource for the kind of within the industry and driving a passion and things like that. And Lawn Care Legends was born. Now it's about community. It's all about community. It's all about kind of having respect. There was some times like where I maybe got a little bit sidetracked with talking about product too much. And I remember we kind of ended up having these kind of these banter brand wars, if you want, on social media, and they were a lot of fun. It was so funny. It was so funny. But at some point, it kind of where a joke kind of loses its fun aspect and it becomes more of an issue, if you want. And so, come with social media, the more you connect with people, not everyone's going to be on the same side, and people will change, or people will turn against you, or whatever. And so in 2018, I got caught up with the success at the end of 2017 Lawn Care Legends was starting to gain traction. And in 2018, I put a lot of effort into it. And part of that building of the community on social media, and it's not just that one community, I mean, like the lawn care community is massive. But this is just one aspect of something that I wanted to do myself, or start myself, and I couldn't do it without the support of the admin team, if I just get that straight out there. But part of that vision was not only that we could have a community, but what was going on in America. They got the GIE rallies, they go to the show, there's the community all come together, and all these people of like-mindedness are able to connect and network and appreciate that there's something bigger there that they're a part of, that when they go back to their own business and their own jobs day to day, that they don't feel as isolated, but that they are a part of that bigger thing. In the UK here, we're a little bit slower on the uptake in Ireland by comparison to the US. And so with Lawn Care Legends, I wanted to kind of try and create something that ended up celebrating small businesses. There's nothing like that there that I really see that's not created through the power of social media by end users. It's kind of normally different things can be created with people with agendas, which is absolutely fine. But I didn't feel there's anything there that I could associate with or relate to as something for me. And when I say for me, I'm talking about people like me. So the Lawn Care Legends Awards was created. Now, it wasn't without its difficulties on the day whenever it was set up, but it went off successfully because we had a community of people that came out from social media that are in the same industry, that are like-minded. And so there's something there very, very positive. But throughout the period of 2018, I was stressing the whole time that while I was trying to create this, or along with the admin team, it was I didn't want to see all of the momentum and the effort that was put in go to waste. And so I spent an awful lot of time, way too much time on social media in 2018. Now, as I look back on it, it's possible that the amount of effort that it took is part of the foundation for why it's able to continue at its own pace now. But at the time, it took away from my family, it took away from my business, and so, like I said, the journey has not been has not been without its ups and downs. And 2018 was a slump in that for me. I took away from focusing on my mentality. I took away from focusing and building on my mindset. Now, if you imagine over the course of 2 years, from 2016 to 2018, I really only had one good year. So by 2016, March 2016 was when I had my breakdown. And it probably took me the guts of 6 months to come out of that and to start seeing things positively. So that took me through to October of 2016. And things started to change for the better from there. But I only had really then about a year and a bit of positive mindset before I hit a slump. And I neglected that working on myself, that working on my mindset. And so as challenges came up, differences of opinion, tried to be friends with people on social media, tried to do favors for people, things that backfired in my face. There was a lot there, a lot of negativity that I was dealing with. That made it really, really difficult to maintain the positivity of 2017. And the plans that I had and some of the networks and the friends that I had made were kind of, those were strained as well because of a combination of a number of things. So 2018 was a difficult year, and I slipped up on that, not working on myself. Come 2019, we're into June, or we're at the end of June, it's actually going to be July tomorrow. This last 6 months have been a big change where I have taken a deep breath. I have drawn the line in the sand with a number of things. Some of the goals that I was hoping to achieve, I didn't, but I achieved others. And so I've kind of started working back on myself. and my mentality is so much more clear. And the more that I work on myself, and I can see the pattern, I can see the shadow that follows the certain periods in that timeline where I didn't work on my mindset. And so the old negative ways of thinking can creep back in, and the self-criticism. And I remember messaging a couple of friends where I felt like such an insecure little girl. You know, because of a couple of experiences that I was going through in 2018. I had allowed things to get to me that I shouldn't have, because I had neglected to work on myself. And the more I work on myself, the more clear things become, and the more easier it is to see the opportunities that are there. And I can tell you that the plans for 2020, you know, while it's absolutely imperative that I work on myself in order to see some of these goals achieved, and where I wanted to achieve some of those goals this year, because I had allowed 2018 to be such a negative year on an impact for me. Now, I achieved an awful lot, but mentally it took an impact because I did not work on myself. So because of the lack of achieving some of the goals I wanted for this year, it's not a big deal. I have just moved the timeline a little bit forward, and I am right on track to achieving some of those goals. And so this channel will see not changes. This channel, I am dedicated to creating regular content for the channel. I'm hoping to get the videos up for Sundays at 1 p.m. The last month now, I've really struggled with that 1 p.m. deadline. I had some technical issues with the internet. We had the software debacle with the iMac. I had the old software, and I've got the new one now, and everything's good. But the time scale of just trying to do things with the family and trying to do things with work is so busy at the minute. I have a video series of about 7 dealerships to create a series for, and yet only about maybe 3 of those videos are sponsored by WeBank. So it's an interesting things, you know, but they're supporting that I wanted to do. So there's some of it I've done myself, and there's others that I've done with the aid and support of WeBank, which is fantastic. It's very rewarding to know that there's that kind of support there to do something positive. So that'll kind of go up both on the channel here, and because I'm creating it for Lawn Care Legends, it'll also go into that as well. And this channel will continue to see that kind of background, the behind the scenes of everything that's happening. But in 2020, I have started to put together the pieces for a big project in 2020 for Lawn Care Legends TV. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be a very open platform. It's not going to be the John Ryan show, but it's an interesting thing that I'll have to create a video specifically about, because it will take me to take the lead with it. But I will open it up where it's not just for me but for others, and it's not about me, it'll be about the industry and different aspects. And so it's all coming together, and there's plans probably with the factory tours, but I'll do that'll go up on Lawn Care Legends TV, but then there'll be kind of behind the scenes footage which will be more about my story of it. So it's kind of like there's a specific line I want to walk. This channel here is all about me and my mindset, and my journey and my experiences, and a bit about work and things like that, and I love that, and it's been amazing. But it was never going to be contained to just that. Part of the journey of growing is experiencing and pushing yourself for new things, and to achieve those goals of what I want to do, and I want to contribute something very positive to small businesses like myself. They're taking these directions, and these goals will allow me to achieve a little bit at a time as I go. So stay tuned next week for a review on the Isotunes Extra, looking forward to sharing that with you, give you my thoughts and opinions on it. Fantastic little bit of kit, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching.